And welcome to the Aaron Katsman Show. I'm your host, Aaron Katsman. We speak to you about your life, your money, and your investments. And as always, we're coming to you for the spiritual and soon-to-be financial capital of the world, Jerusalem, Israel. If you like this content, please hit the like button below. If you have not yet done so, please subscribe to both the YouTube channel and to the podcast. And if you think somebody might find this of actual interest, why don't you go ahead and share it with them as well? So I want to speak about something I don't speak about often, and that's about real estate, the dangers that come with buying a house or an apartment that you can't afford. Okay, why is this coming now? From time to time, we look for a new place to live, maybe a bigger place to live, and I speak with agents all the time, and they ask, "What's your budget?" And I tell them, and then they always show me something that's like 30 or 40% above that number, and then I say no, and I get upset. I've had multiple calls over the last couple of weeks as well. Some good, some bad, about people looking to make home and purchases. I just had recently with somebody who wanted to do everything in their power to take no mortgage, or at least take a very, very small mortgage. And the whole question there was whether they should blow out their savings to take no mortgage and rebuild their savings, or whether they should take a small mortgage and keep some savings, sort of like a red line not to go under. That was interesting. I also spoke with somebody who had told me that years ago they overbought, meaning they spent more than they were on a home than they were able to really handle. At the beginning, they were able to handle it, but over time, as other expenses accrued, it became incredibly stressful. So that's the reason, that's sort of what's behind all of this. And I've been watching videos, you got to buy real estate, and nobody talks to you about the downside. I'm all for investing, right? You want to buy real estate, go for it, but make sure you can afford it, okay? So buying a home that you can't really afford can create years of financial and emotional pressure, even if the purchase initially feels like it's on spot, right? That you're going to be okay. And again, it's really important to separate here. There's two different issues at play. There's financial issues, and then there's emotional issues as well. So I'm just going to go through, a couple of dangers of sort of overbuying. You're going to become house poor. Too much of your income goes towards the expenses, right? Mortgage and taxes, insurance, maintenance, utilities, right? You might technically own a home, but you have nothing left to put into retirement, to build up an emergency fund, go on a vacation, pay for your children's education, charity, just enjoying life, right? You're so strapped that every last penny, every last shekel, every last agura is going into the house. So you've got this house, you're sitting with a big, big mortgage, and you can't do anything else because you're stuck. Or, as some people do, say, the heck with it. I'm going on vacation. What do I care? I'll just borrow money and I'll get into debt. And obviously, we speak about that all the time. Bad, bad idea. Danger number two, I would say, is a lack of flexibility. A large mortgage can trap you in a job, a city, or a lifestyle because you can't absorb a drop in income. In order to make a career change. Financial freedom often disappears when housing dominates your budget. Interesting, people don't talk about that at all, but again, if you don't have any flexibility in your basically, your budget is, you're trapped in your job, you're not going to be able to move because you've got this house that you paid too much for. Then there are unexpected costs which come up. Many buyers only focus on the monthly mortgage payment. And those pitching them the mortgage are partly responsible for that. Ultimately, the ultimate responsibility goes with the buyer, right? It's his decision, his or her decision to make that call and buy something. But certainly, when they're enticing you with borrow as much as possible, then they're probably not going to all the time have your best interest at heart. And there are other costs associated, i.e., repairs, renovations. You might have to change an appliance, right? Your fridge might bust. Taxes, insurance on the home, utility bills which increase. These are all things which happen that you might not think about. And people who overbuy tend to buy larger homes than they can afford, which means really the utilities, right? Electricity and so forth, it's going to be more expensive because you need to heat it more, or you need to cool it more, right? Then we have interest rate risks, especially in Israel, where mortgages or parts of mortgages contain variable rate components. Rising rates can dramatically increase monthly payments. Families who are already stretched can quickly find themselves underwater. We saw that here about 3 years ago when rates started to rise, and people who were paying, 5,000 shekels, I'm just throwing that out, 5,000 shekels a month on a mortgage payment, were suddenly paying 6,000 shekels a month mortgage payment. And oops, that's a problem. We didn't account for that. And especially in Israel, where that's generally, people are they split the mortgages. It's not always fixed rate. And if it isn't, even if fixed rate, it's linked to inflation. It's crazy. You got to understand that before you go in, because there's a good chance that your payments may rise. Then I would say there's like investment opportunity cost, right? Tying up too much capital into a home can hurt your long-term wealth building. Money locked into oversized housing expenses and money not being invested for retirement or future goals. Again, you're just pushing yourself to the edge. We said this before, sort of, right? You buy, you blow out everything. You've got nothing left to put into emergency fund, long-term savings, and what have you. Now, this is the other issue, okay? Emotional stress, marital stress. Financial pressure is one of the leading causes of anxiety and marital conflict. Constant stress over bills can affect family life, sleep, health, and relationships. I have seen it. I've seen people who overbought, who are completely stressed out. And there's no question that your marriage is going to suffer when that is the case, right? It's hard enough when everybody's hunky-dory, happy. Marriages are not the easiest thing. But when you're both completely stressed out, like, how are we going to pay for Junior's trip to the zoo with his class? That's a problem, right? That's a big, big problem. You got to take that into account, because that's a big one that's rarely talked about. And the last danger I would say is forced selling when things are dropping. If income falls or the market weakens, owners may be forced to sell at the wrong time, right? Real estate is illiquid, and selling quickly often comes at a discount, right? What we call a fire sale, which means that you could be leaving a lot of money on the table, and that's also obviously a problem. Then there's also a psychological danger, confusing what the bank says you can borrow with what you can comfortably afford. Banks qualify borrowers based on formulas, not peace of mind, right? I spoke about that. The bank is going to give you a number, which is generally far more than you are going to be able to handle yourself. I see it happen all the time. Don't get drawn in. Don't get sucked in by that number. Saying, wow, I'm in much better shape than I actually thought. I can't even pay the rent, but they're telling me I can pay 3 times the amount that month on a monthly payment. I just got approved for a mortgage where I'm going to be paying 3 times the amount in payback in my monthly mortgage payments, 3 times more than I'm paying right now in rent. And I can't even scratch that up. But the bank said I can do it, so I must be able to do it. Bad idea. Okay, again, you want to keep housing costs to, between, let's say, 20 to 25, 30%, maybe in a pinch up to 35% of your income. Above that, you're playing with fire, okay? Same thing goes true with rent also. You don't want to over-rent, pay too much in rent, because that can also put you into the poorhouse, make you take on debt, okay? Don't overbuy, okay? You don't have to be on the street or in the neighborhood if you can't afford it, so you move streets. You move neighborhoods. You don't buy as big a place as you dreamt of buying. You can always move up the property scale, ladder, I believe is the right word. Moving up the property ladder takes time. You have to have patience, just like you have to have patience in any other investment. Go into the periphery. Go somewhere where things are cheaper if you can't afford it. Or if you want the more expensive city living, buy something smaller. Buy something that you can afford, and be honest with yourself and be hard on yourself and make sure that it fits into some of the parameters we spoke about. Because if you overbuy, you're setting yourself up for a lifetime of super stress and lack of financial flexibility. Okay? You've been tuning into the Aaron Katsman Show, where we speak about your life, your money, and your investments. If you like this content, please hit the like button below. If you've not yet done so, please subscribe to both the YouTube channel and to the podcast. And if you think somebody might find this of interest, why don't you go ahead and hit the share button and share it with them. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll speak to you soon.